January 15th, 1947. Los Angeles was waking up to another sunny morning. Children were walking to school. Workers hurried to catch buses. And in a quiet neighborhood on Norton Avenue, a young mother pushing her stroller noticed something strange lying in an empty lot. At first, she thought it was a mannequin. Its pale skin glowed under the California sun. Its body looked broken, twisted, cut apart. But as she stepped closer, she realized it wasn't a doll. It was a woman. And in that horrifying moment, America's most terrifying unsolved mystery began. For more than 70 years, people have searched for answers. Who killed her? Why was her body displayed in such a horrifying way? And why, despite hundreds of suspects, has no one ever been punished? This is the true story of the Black Dahlia. A mystery so dark that some believe it was never meant to be solved. Because hidden behind the headlines, behind the photographs, and behind the lies, is a secret that may be even more terrifying than the murder itself. Her name was Elizabeth Short, but the world would never remember her that way. To history, she became the Black Dahlia. Before she became a legend, before newspapers turned her into a symbol of horror, Elizabeth was just a girl with dreams. She was born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts. She was the third of 5 daughters. Her father owned a successful business. For a while, life seemed perfect. But then, everything changed. The Great Depression destroyed the family's finances. One day, Elizabeth's father disappeared. His car was found abandoned near a bridge. Everyone assumed he had taken his own life. Elizabeth was only a child. The truth emerged. He was alive. He had simply abandoned his family. That betrayal left scars. Elizabeth grew up shy, fragile, and lonely. She suffered from severe asthma. Doctors advised her to move somewhere warmer. So, as a teenager, she traveled between Massachusetts and Florida. She dreamed of becoming an actress. Hollywood fascinated her. The glamour, the lights, the promise that anyone could become somebody. She wanted that life. She wanted people to know her name. But dreams can become dangerous, especially in Hollywood. In the 1940s, Los Angeles was a city of illusions. Movie stars smiled for cameras. Jazz clubs stayed open until dawn, and behind the bright lights, darkness waited. Gangsters controlled businesses. Corrupt cops protected criminals. Wealthy men hid terrible secrets. And young women chasing fame often disappeared. Elizabeth arrived in Los Angeles in 1946. She was beautiful, slim, dark-haired, elegant. Men noticed her instantly. She wore black clothes, loved mystery novels, and often spent nights dancing at clubs. Friends described her as charming, but also restless. She moved constantly, apartment to apartment, friend to friend, always searching, always hoping. Yet something about her life remained mysterious. She had no steady job, no permanent home, no husband, no clear future. And still, she acted as if something incredible was just around the corner. Perhaps she believed destiny was waiting. Destiny was. On January 9, 1947, Elizabeth was seen alive for the last time. She spent the evening with friends. She smiled, laughed, talked about plans. Nobody noticed anything unusual. Nobody imagined they were looking at a dead woman. Witnesses later reported seeing her at a hotel lobby. She appeared calm, waiting for someone. Who? No one knows. That question has haunted investigators ever since. Some believe she met a wealthy businessman. Others suspect a doctor. Some think she knew her killer well. Others believe she trusted a stranger. What happened after that night remains a mystery. Her body appeared in the empty lot. The scene shocked even experienced detectives. Elizabeth's body had been cut in half. Precisely, cleanly. The killer had drained the blood, washed the body, removed evidence. There were cuts around her mouth, creating a horrifying smile. Investigators immediately realized something terrifying. This wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a random murder. Whoever did this had experience, medical knowledge, and enough confidence to place the body in public, almost like an exhibit, like art. The newspapers exploded. Headlines screamed across America. Mutilated girl found. Black Dahlia murder shocks Los Angeles. The nickname Black Dahlia spread everywhere. Some say reporters invented it because Elizabeth wore black clothing. Others say it was inspired by a movie called The Blue Dahlia. Whatever the origin, the name stuck forever. And with the name came obsession. Thousands of tips flooded police stations. Psychics claimed they saw visions. Journalists chased rumors. The public demanded justice. But the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the case became. The killer had left almost nothing behind. No fingerprints, no murder weapon, no witnesses, no clear motive. It seemed impossible that such a brutal crime could disappear without answers. Detectives built suspect lists. 10 names. Then 50. Then 100. Eventually, more than 500 suspects were questioned. Doctors, actors, soldiers, businessmen, even police officers. Everyone became suspicious. One suspect terrified investigators. A man named Mark Hansen. He owned nightclubs, knew Elizabeth personally, and had connections to organized crime. Witnesses claimed he was obsessed with her. Some believed he was jealous. Others whispered darker stories. But police found no proof. He walked free. Another suspect was even more disturbing. A surgeon, Dr. George Hodel. Handsome, brilliant, wealthy, and incredibly strange. He lived in a mansion filled with secret rooms. He hosted bizarre parties. Artists, celebrities, powerful politicians, and rumors surrounded him constantly. People whispered about abuse, cruelty, and violence. Then, years later, a shocking discovery emerged. His own son, a former detective, became convinced his father was the Black Dahlia killer. The detective's name was Steve Hodel. He spent decades investigating, searching old police files, interviewing witnesses, examining photographs, and then he found something chilling. A photograph of Elizabeth Short, inside his father's belongings. Why did Dr. Hodel possess it? No one knows for certain, but there was more. Much more. Police records revealed that Dr. Hodel's house had secretly been bugged in 1950. Investigators recorded hours of conversations, and in one recording, they heard words that still send chills down people's spines. Supposedly, Dr. Hodel said, "Suppose I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now." Those words ignited controversy. Was it a confession, a joke, or coincidence? No charges were filed. No arrest was made. Dr. Hodel moved overseas, and the mystery continued. Many people believe he was the killer. Others disagree completely, because there are countless theories. Some believe Elizabeth became involved with dangerous criminals. Others think she uncovered secrets she shouldn't have known. There are theories involving politicians, Hollywood elites, doctors, secret societies, and even serial killers. Every theory raises new questions. Every answer creates another mystery. And perhaps that is why the Black Dahlia case refuses to die. Because humans hate unfinished stories. We need endings. We crave justice. But sometimes, the world doesn't provide either. In the summer of 1587, more than 100 men, women, and children sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. They were not explorers. They were not soldiers. They were families. They carried dreams. Dreams of freedom. Dreams of wealth. Dreams of building a new life in a strange and untamed world. But within 3 years, every single one of them vanished. No bodies, no graves, no signs of struggle. Only one word remained, carved into a wooden post. A single clue that has haunted historians for more than 400 years. Croatoan. What happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Did they starve? Were they massacred? Did they disappear into the wilderness? Or did something far stranger happen? This is one of America's oldest mysteries and darkest mysteries. The year was 1587. England was desperate. Spain controlled enormous territories. Gold poured into Spanish ports. England wanted the same. They needed colonies, permanent settlements, outposts in the New World. And one man believed he could make it happen. His name was John White, an artist, a mapmaker, and an experienced explorer. He had visited America before. He had seen its forests, its rivers, its endless coastline, and he believed paradise was waiting. So he gathered colonists, families, farmers, craftsmen, women and children, a total of 115 people. Together they sailed west, across violent seas, toward an island called Roanoke. At first, everything seemed hopeful. The island was beautiful. Dense forests surrounded sandy shores. Wildlife was everywhere. Fish filled the waters. The air smelled fresh. And for a moment, it felt like a dream. But dreams can change quickly, especially in unfamiliar lands. The colonists faced immediate problems. Food was scarce. Relations with some local tribes were tense. Supplies were running low. And winter was coming. The colony needed help. John White made a painful decision. He would return to England, gather supplies, and come back as quickly as possible. He kissed his daughter goodbye, held his granddaughter one last time, and promised, "I will return." His granddaughter's name was Virginia Dare. She was only a baby, but she carried an incredible distinction. She was the first English child born in America. She would become part of one of history's greatest mysteries. John White sailed home. But fate had other plans. England was preparing for war. The mighty Spanish Armada threatened invasion. Every available ship was seized. White begged, argued, waited. Days became months. Months became years. Still, he couldn't leave. Meanwhile, the colonists waited. They rationed food, built shelters, prayed, and hoped. Every day, they scanned the horizon, looking for sails, looking for rescue. But none came. Imagine the fear. You are thousands of miles from home, surrounded by wilderness. No supplies, no certainty, only silence. And with every passing season, hope fades. Did people become desperate? Did they fight? Did hunger drive them apart? No one knows. Because the next time John White saw Roanoke, it was empty. In August of 1590, 3 years after leaving, John White finally returned. Storm clouds gathered overhead. The sea was rough. His heart raced. He imagined reunion. He imagined joy. He imagined hugging his family. But as he approached shore, something felt wrong. No smoke, no voices, no lights, only silence, an unnatural silence. The settlement was deserted. Houses were gone, buildings dismantled, had disappeared. White ran desperately through the settlement, calling names, searching every corner. Nothing. No bodies, no graves, no signs of violence, no bones. It was as if everyone had simply vanished. Then he found something. A wooden fence post. On it, a word had been carved. Croatoan. Nearby, 3 letters were carved into a tree. Crow. That was all. No explanation. No warning. Just a word. Croatoan. White paused. The colonists had agreed on a signal. If they were forced to leave, they would carve their destination. They would carve a Maltese cross beside the message. There was no cross, no warning, which meant they may have left willingly. But where? Croatoan was the name of a nearby island. It was also the name of a native tribe. Did the colonists move there? Did they join the tribe? White wanted answers. He wanted to sail immediately, but a violent storm arrived. The sea became impossible. The captain refused to continue. And once again, John White was forced to leave. This time forever. He never saw his daughter again, never found Virginia Dare, never learned the truth. He died with questions, and those questions remain alive today. What happened to the lost colony is surprisingly hopeful. Some historians believe the colonists joined the Croatoan tribe. It makes sense. Food was scarce. The Croatoans were friendly. Perhaps survival required cooperation. Over generations, the colonists may have blended into local communities. Some reports from later explorers claimed they saw Native Americans with gray eyes, European features, even English words. Was this proof? Maybe. Or maybe people simply saw what they wanted to see. Another theory is darker, much darker. Perhaps the colonists starved. Drought records suggest the region suffered severe shortages. Crops failed. Animals disappeared. Desperation grew. Did people abandon Roanoke searching for food? Did they die in the wilderness? Why were no remains ever found? Then comes the theory everyone fears. Massacre. Relations with nearby tribes were complicated. Some groups distrusted the English. Violence had happened before. Could revenge explain the disappearance? Perhaps. But investigators found no battle site. No weapons. No skeletons. Nothing. And that is what makes Roanoke terrifying. Because mysteries usually leave evidence. Roanoke left almost none. As centuries passed, the story transformed. Whispers spread. Legends emerged. People began telling strange tales. Some claimed Roanoke was cursed. Others believed evil spirits lived in the woods. There were stories of ghostly children, phantom voices, figures wandering the shoreline at night. The same word echoed through the stories. Croatoan, Croatoan, Croatoan. In modern times, paranormal investigators have visited the island. Some report hearing whispers. Others describe cold spots. A few claim they captured mysterious voices on recordings. Of course, none of this proves anything. Ghost stories grow easily, especially around places filled with tragedy. But one question remains impossible to ignore. How does an entire colony disappear? 115 people, families, children, homes, animals, tools, all gone. No trace, no explanation. Imagine arriving at your hometown and finding every person missing, every house abandoned, every street silent. That feeling, that impossible emptiness, is exactly what John White experienced. And perhaps, that is why Roanoke still fascinates us. Because deep inside, we fear disappearance. We fear being forgotten. We fear mysteries without endings. And Roanoke offers no ending. Only questions. Questions carried across 4 centuries, waiting for answers that may never come. Night fell over Roanoke Island. The wind whispered through the trees. Waves crashed softly against the shore. And somewhere, 115 people waited. Waiting for a ship, waiting for rescue, waiting for hope. But hope can be dangerous, especially when it refuses to die. Imagine being one of the colonists. You wake up hungry. Your children cry for food. The crops have failed. Winter is approaching, and the man who promised to return is nowhere to be found. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. At first, people remain optimistic. He's coming. He promised. The ships are delayed. But eventually, those words lose their meaning. Fear grows. Arguments begin. Neighbors blame each other. Food becomes precious. Trust disappears. Desperation makes people do unimaginable things. The forests surrounding Roanoke were vast, dense, mysterious. To the English settlers, they felt endless. Strange noises echoed at night. Animals screamed in the darkness. Fog rolled silently between the trees. Many colonists believed the wilderness itself was alive, watching them, waiting, and perhaps they weren't entirely wrong. Because survival in the New World was brutal. The English knew little about the land, but the native tribes knew everything. They knew which plants healed, which berries poisoned, which rivers flooded, which seasons brought hunger. Survival was nearly impossible. This is why many historians believe the colonists chose to leave Roanoke. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. The Croatoan tribe lived south of the island. They were allies, friendly toward the English, and most importantly, they had food. The carved word, Croatoan, might not be a mystery at all. It might be a message, a simple message. We went there. But if that's true, why were they never found? Why did nobody return? Why did history lose them? These questions have haunted researchers for generations. And every few years, someone claims to have solved the mystery. A strange story emerged. Travelers reported Native Americans with unusual features. Gray eyes, lighter skin, European facial structures. Some even claimed these tribes possessed English artifacts, swords, tools, words from another language. Could they be descendants of Roanoke? Possibly. But proof remained elusive. Then came another clue. An old map. At first glance, it looked ordinary. A map drawn by John White himself. But centuries later, researchers examined it more closely. And beneath layers of paint, they found something shocking. A hidden symbol, a small fort, drawn secretly into the map. Why hide it? Was it a backup settlement? Did the colonists relocate there? What happened next? Archaeologists became excited. Excavations began. Digging, searching, hoping. And then, they discovered fragments. English pottery, metal tools, small pieces of evidence. Nothing conclusive. But enough to keep the mystery alive. Some believe this hidden fort is the key. Others think it's just another dead end. Because Roanoke is full of dead ends. Every clue opens new possibilities. Every answer creates more questions. And maybe that's exactly why people remain obsessed. But not everyone believes the colonists survived. Some theories are far darker. One of the most disturbing theories suggests starvation. Not ordinary hunger. Extreme starvation. The kind that destroys communities. Scientists studied tree rings from the region. They discovered something remarkable. During the late 1500s, the area experienced one of the worst droughts in centuries. Water sources dried up. Crops failed. Wildlife disappeared. The colonists may have arrived at the worst possible moment. Imagine trying to grow food. Nothing grows. Imagine hunting. Animals are gone. Imagine feeding your children and having nothing left. How long can hope survive under those conditions? A month? 2 months? A year? Eventually, people become desperate. History has shown us this repeatedly. Civilized societies collapse. Neighbors turn against neighbors. Survival becomes the only law. Could Roanoke have suffered the same fate? Maybe. But again, there's a problem. Where are the remains? If starvation killed them, there should be evidence. Have produced almost nothing. Which leads to another terrifying possibility. Violence. The New World wasn't peaceful. Conflicts between tribes were common. Tensions with Europeans often turned deadly. Some historians suspect the colonists were attacked, killed, erased. Stories from nearby tribes mention battles, massacres, destroying settlements. But these stories changed over time. Some contradicted each other. Others sounded more like legends than facts. And once again, there was no physical proof. No battlefield, no graves, nothing. The silence surrounding Roanoke is almost unnatural. It's as if history itself refuses to reveal the truth. And maybe that's why stranger theories continue to thrive. Because when facts disappear, imagination takes over. Some believe Roanoke was cursed. The island certainly has an eerie reputation. Visitors describe strange feelings, unease, sadness, the sensation of being watched. At night, the forests become unsettling. Twisted branches block moonlight. The wind creates whispering sounds. Every shadow seems alive. Some locals avoid certain areas completely, especially after dark. Over the years, countless ghost stories have emerged. People claim to hear children laughing, voices calling from empty woods, footsteps following them, then suddenly, silence. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange sounds, electronic voices, unexplained whispers. Many are skeptical. There's no scientific proof these sounds are supernatural. But fear doesn't need proof. Fear only needs uncertainty. And Roanoke has more uncertainty than almost anywhere else in America. Even Hollywood couldn't resist. Movies, documentaries, TV shows, and of course, American Horror Story. The 6th season, Roanoke, turned the mystery into a nightmare. Ghosts, murder, ancient evil, terrifying creatures. Millions watched because deep down, everyone wants to know. What happened? Where did they go? And why has nobody solved it? But perhaps the most heartbreaking part of the story is John White himself. Imagine carrying that guilt. He left to save the colony, to bring supplies, to protect his family. Instead, he returned to emptiness. His daughter vanished. His granddaughter disappeared. Every friend gone. Imagine standing alone inside an abandoned settlement, walking through silent streets, calling names, receiving no answer, searching homes, finding nothing. That silence must have been unbearable. White spent the rest of his life wondering if his family starved, wondering if they suffered, wondering if they waited for him until the very end, wondering if leaving had been the biggest mistake of his life. We often think mysteries are exciting, fun, interesting. But mysteries are painful, especially for those living inside them. Because unanswered questions never truly disappear. They follow you. For years, for decades, sometimes forever. And Roanoke is one giant unanswered question. 400 years later, we still don't know. Technology has advanced. Archaeologists use satellites, ground-penetrating radar, DNA analysis, advanced excavation methods. Yet Roanoke remains stubbornly silent. Every investigation reveals fragments, never certainty, just enough information to keep hope alive. Maybe that's why people return, again and again. Searching beaches, digging fields, exploring forests, hoping to discover something extraordinary. A grave, a diary, a hidden settlement, anything. Anything that finally explains how an entire colony disappeared. Because if Roanoke teaches us anything, it's this. Sometimes history doesn't lose people. Sometimes people choose to disappear. And sometimes the truth becomes buried so deeply that no one can ever recover it. But what if the answer isn't hidden underground? What if the answer has been staring at us all along? What if Croatoan wasn't a clue? What if it was a warning? And if that's true, what exactly were they trying to warn us about?